You're listening to the Rise and Grind podcast. We're talking about business, life, and lessons. We're talking about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. If you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or someone fighting to grow, this is the show for you. Because the grind never stops and growth never ends.
All right, let's dive into this, shall we? We're tackling advice giving today, and entrepreneur Alan Bonner is going to be our guide.
Sounds good.
You guys sent in his piece on finding the right counsel, eager to figure out who to really listen to, so ready to unpack it all.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so Bonner, he kicks things off with some seriously relatable scenarios. Like, we've all been there, right? When a well-meaning family member, they love you, but they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Their advice is about as useful as, I don't know, a screen door on a submarine, you know?
Love that analogy. It's like, you're sure you're on the right track, but you might be headed straight off a cliff.
Okay, so how do we avoid taking a nosedive with bad advice? Well, Bonner's got 8 hard-earned lessons for us. And this isn't just some theory for him either.
Oh, definitely not. This guy's been there, done that, built businesses, navigated the stock market, even rubbed elbows with royalty.
Right. Talk about real-world experience.
Exactly. It really adds weight to his words.
Totally. Okay, so point 1, listen to those who've been where you want to go. Sounds kind of obvious, right?
It does, but honestly, you'd be surprised how often we overlook that simple idea.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Think of it like this. If you're thinking about a major career change, Bonner would say, find someone who's actually made that leap, not just someone who talks about it.
It's like taking travel advice from someone who's only ever looked at maps, never left their house. They can point you in a direction, maybe.
Right, exactly. They don't know the terrain, the detours, the roadblocks you might hit.
You need someone who's actually navigated that specific path.
100%. They'll have insights that someone with just like textbook knowledge just won't have.
This is making me think, have you ever gotten advice that, looking back, was totally off? Because the person giving it, they just didn't have that lived experience.
All the time. It's so easy to get caught up in someone's enthusiasm, even if their advice isn't grounded in reality.
It happens to the best of us. So how do we avoid those pitfalls? Well, Bonner's second point builds on this. He says to look for a proven track record that survived the storms.
Oh, that's a good one. He's not just talking about those one-hit wonders, right?
Exactly. It's about the people who've seen it all, the ups, the downs, those unexpected detours, and they come out stronger.
It's like, imagine you need financial advice. Would you rather get it from someone who made a quick buck, like a speculative bubble?
Ooh, good point.
Or from someone who steadily built their wealth over decades through different market cycles, you know?
Okay, yeah, I'd choose the steady hand every time. But it's not just about experience and weathering those storms, is it? Bonner's third point, this one's interesting. He emphasizes finding advisors who understand the real stakes.
That's crucial, isn't it?
What's he getting at there? What are those real stakes?
It's about shared understanding. The most valuable advice. It comes from people who truly grasp the weight of your decisions.
They get it. They've been there.
Exactly. It's like they've got skin in the game.
It's the difference between those armchair quarterbacks,
Yeah.
full of advice, but they've never actually played the game.
Right.
Versus someone who's been on the field, felt that pressure.
And that level of understanding, it's crucial, especially with big decisions.
Makes sense.
Because as Bonner says, and this is a big one, trust and expertise are two very different things.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Mm.
Just because you trust someone doesn't automatically make them the best person to guide you.
Exactly. And that leads us to his fourth point.
So this is where it gets really interesting, right? Bonner's fourth point, he says, to align with people whose ethics are as solid as their advice.
Right. It's not just about getting to the finish line, is it? It's how you get there.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Bonner, he argues that ethical leadership, it's got to be a non-negotiable, especially when choosing your advisors.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, think about it. It's easy to be impressed by someone's, accomplishments until you realize they cut corners or compromise their values to get there.
Totally. It's like that saying, right? The ends don't justify the means.
Exactly.
A good reminder to kind of look beyond the surface and consider the whole package.
Yeah, for sure.
Experience, integrity, and a genuine commitment to that ethical behavior.
Absolutely. 100%. And that actually leads us to Bonner's next point, which is surround yourself with people who push you, not protect you.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
It's like having those people in your corner who,
Yeah.
who challenge you.
Yeah, to step outside that comfort zone.
Exactly.
We all need that little nudge sometimes. Right?
Oh, yeah, we do, for sure. It's like having a personal trainer, but for your, career, even your personal life. They're not there to like coddle you, but to help you unlock your full potential.
Even if it means getting a little uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure, you're going to get uncomfortable. And Bonner's honest about that. He talks about falling into the trap of seeking advice that made him feel good, in the moment,
Right.
but ultimately held him back.
Yeah. It's easy to fall into that trap.
It is. It is. And he reminds us that real growth requires that discomfort. You got to embrace it a bit.
It's true.
And seek advice that challenges you to, become the best version of yourself.
It's so true. That really resonates. I mean, I've definitely been guilty of, like, surrounding myself with yes people.
Yeah.
Especially in the past. Those who just agree.
Oh, tell me what I want to hear.
Exactly. But it's those people who challenge your assumptions, they push you to think differently. That's where the growth is.
100%.
So how do we find these people? How do we find the ones that can help us level up?
Well, his next point is, listen to those who play the long game, not the short-term hustle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's huge, especially these days, right?
Yeah.
So much emphasis on instant gratification.
It's everywhere.
Overnight success.
Oh, yeah. You see it all the time, don't you?
It's easy to get caught up in that.
And the quick fixes and,
Shortcuts.
yeah, shortcuts.
But, as Bonner points out, real success, often a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. Takes time. And he urges us to be wary of those who promise, rapid results without considering the long game, the consequences.
Yeah, there's always a catch.
There is. He advocates for seeking advice from those who, they get it. They understand the value of patience, perseverance, building something that's going to last, something sustainable.
Playing that long game, focusing on that bigger picture.
Exactly.
Building a solid foundation rather than chasing those fleeting trends.
100%.
So how do we avoid being seduced,
Yeah.
right, by those shiny shortcuts? How do we find the advice that stands the test of time?
Well, that's where Bonner's next point comes in. Stay clear of emotional biases. Look for objectivity.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. He acknowledges that. It's tricky because naturally we're drawn to those who are emotionally invested.
Right, yeah.
Family, close friends.
Of course, yeah.
But they might not always be the most objective voices in the room.
Yeah, it's like that saying, love is blind. Sometimes those closest to us, they don't see our blind spots.
Or they're, maybe they're hesitant to deliver the hard truths.
Exactly.
Right.
And their intentions might be good,
The best, yeah.
but it might not always be what's best for us,
Exactly.
And I think Bonner, he encourages us to kind of be discerning
Yeah.
and seek a balance of perspectives, right?
100%.
Including those who can be a little bit more objective.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been really insightful. We've covered a lot with Bonner's advice so far. Experience, track record, understanding those stakes, ethics, seeking those who challenge us, playing that long game, even being aware of our own biases.
A lot to digest.
It is a lot. What's his final piece of advice for us?
His last one, it's really relevant for, today's world. Listen to those who evolve, who aren't stuck in the past.
Especially in this age of, constant technological advancement. Things are changing so fast.
All the time. What worked yesterday, it's obsolete tomorrow.
Right.
And Bonner, he's like, listen, be wary of those who are clinging to those outdated, methods or mindsets.
Yeah.
You got to seek out those advisors who are constantly learning, adapting, evolving right alongside the world around them.
So important.
It reminds me of that quote, what got you here won't get you there.
You're telling me we need to be open to those new ideas, new approaches.
New ways of thinking.
Yeah, if we're clinging to the past, it's only going to hold us back. So we've gone through all 8 of Bonner's points.
We did it.
It's a really great framework for figuring out, who to listen to. But Bonner, he doesn't just leave us there, does he?
No, he doesn't. He goes on to emphasize what happens if you get bad advice. And it's not pretty.
No, it's not. So let's talk about that elephant in the room. What happens when we take the wrong advice? What are the consequences?
Oh, Bonner doesn't sugarcoat it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He's seen firsthand how devastating it can be.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in his own life and in the lives of other people. We're talking businesses, savings, even, their sense of direction, all because they followed the wrong guidance.
It's easy to think, right? It's just one piece of advice. How bad could it be? But as Bonner points out, it can really snowball.
Oh, it can, yeah.
Lead to this cascade of negative consequences.
It really can. It's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
And it's a reminder that the stakes, they're high. It matters who you listen to.
It really does. But And this is important. He's not about placing blame.
No, not at all.
Right. It's more about taking responsibility.
Exactly. Owning your choices.
Recognizing that, choosing your advisors wisely, it's just as important as making those right decisions yourself.
100%, yeah.
He doesn't just leave us hanging with the pitfalls, though. There is a path forward.
There is. And he empowers you, the listener, to really think about who you're listening to be intentional about it, to find those people who genuinely have the experience, that integrity, the vision to guide you effectively. Because honestly, someone might be incredibly successful.
Right.
But their advice might not be the right fit for your journey, your unique path.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on advice giving, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from all of Bonner's insights?
I think Bonner says it best. The wrong advice can cost us everything. The right advice can change our lives.
Yeah.
And he leaves us with this question, and it's one I think we should all ask ourselves probably regularly. Is this person really qualified to guide me? And not just on a practical level, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of their values, their vision. Do they understand what really matters, what matters to me?
That's such a powerful question. And you know what? I'm going to be reflecting on that myself. It's a good reminder that we always have a choice in who we allow to influence us. We do. Our thoughts, our decisions, our lives, really.
And on that note, to our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. As you navigate the world of advice giving and decision making, remember that you've got this. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, keep diving deep.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Rise and Grind podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss a conversation or information. And remember, the grind never stops and growth never ends.